Ken Finnan at Capital Advantage Tutoring, and we had a great day today. Today, 3 people passed the 65, and they gave me some great feedback on what kind of topics we're going to see. Obviously, I'm not going to give you answers or questions, and they wouldn't either, so it's all good. But a couple things they said, consistent, we needed to know qualitative versus quantitative analysis, and they also want to know about the current ratio, but we'll get into that. So let's talk about qualitative, okay? Qualitative analysis is like an inexact soft valuing. It's looking at like shareholder satisfaction, ethics, brand value, stuff like that, like what people think of the brand, customer happiness, advantages, cultural stuff, mores, morals, basically not numerical input. So qualitative is looking at what people think of the company, how they feel for it. So it's really a soft thing. You can't really use hard numbers on that. They do find a way to use numbers on it, but it's not really the way it goes. So then we have quantitative. Quantitative is like hard sciences, profit margins, debt ratios, earnings multiples, PE ratios, earnings per share, debt equity, current ratio, all hard numbers that you can plug in and use an algorithm to figure out. So if you are more into crunching numbers and data and stuff like that and hard numbers and coding, maybe quantitative is for you, you'd be a quant. Qualitative is you'd rather look at polls and look at information and try to gauge like how people feel about the company, what's going on, how the competitors are doing, some soft stuff. Maybe that's qualitative. Maybe that's better for you. So that's definitely going to be on the exam. The ability to differentiate between quantitative and qualitative. And they may try to put some numbers in the qualitative thing, but it's still going to be looking at like soft things, not hard, crunchy data. Okay, so we all know what current ratio is, right? Current assets divided by current liabilities. That's an easy formula to know. SIE 7, that's probably as far as it goes. But for the Series 65, they might actually go a little deeper than that. So they might actually show you a list of assets and liabilities and make you on a balance sheet, obviously, because assets and liabilities and stuff are on balance sheets. They might make you actually break it out and find out what is a current asset. So let's go down the list and we'll go through each. Okay. So the first one is cash and cash equivalents. Obviously, cash, it's money we have. Cash equivalents are like checking accounts, coins, paper money, receipts that we haven't deposited yet, money orders, some CDs, commercial paper, money market mutual funds, treasury securities. Some of those could fall into the cash equivalent level, and those are all current assets. We also have marketable securities, stocks, bonds, other mutual funds, government bonds, all these securities that are easily sellable, because marketable means liquid, you can sell it, okay? So those things are going to be marketable securities. Accounts receivable, this is stuff that we are going to get either now or within the next year, but we have not collected it yet. Inventory, that's like, if we're Nordstrom, it's like dresses or shoes. If we're John Deere, it's like a tractor, stuff like that, things that we own that we're going to sell. Prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses are like, okay, so we have an insurance policy for the next 6 months. If we pay it all up front, that's a prepaid expense. That is a current asset. So non-trade receivables are what happens is people owe us money, but not for our business or for other things, like we're a tax refund coming or insurance claims, or we lent money to employees and they have to pay it back. That's a non-trade receivable. Then the other side of it, we have current liabilities. That's shit we owe in the next year or so. So like accounts payable. These are for like accounts we have that we are going to have to pay a supplier now or within the next 12 months. That's accounts payable. Notes payable, like short-term notes. Like if we borrowed money, like borrowed from a bank or something like that, and we owe it on a short-term basis. Like we have bank account overdraft. So we overdraft, they're kind of lending us the money so we can pay the bills. So we have to owe that back. That's short-term. If we long-term debt is a fixed liability, this long-term, but the current portion of it, the stuff we owe, part of it we owe now, will be counted as a current liability. Leases, if we owe a lease, we owe it soon. We owe the payment soon, so that's a current liability. Accrued taxes, like you understand. So when a company earns money, they know they owe taxes on it, so they put it in the bank account, and it's accruing, so they know they owe it, but they haven't paid it yet. That will be a current liability. Same with expenses, like salaries that you owe to a salary or you owe to a supplier or something like that. You owe money to somebody and you're accruing it, but they've been earning it, but you haven't paid it yet. Like when you work for 2 weeks and then you get paid at the end of the 2 weeks. Well, during that time, you're earning the salary. They haven't paid it. So that's a current liability. If we owe dividends, once we announce the dividend, once we declare the dividend but haven't paid it, that's a current liability. That's why your working capital and net worth drop when you declare a dividend, because your assets stay the same, but your current liabilities and your liabilities go up. And any kind of unearned revenue, like say somebody prepays me to tutor them, like say they prepay like 6 months in advance, it would be weird, but say they prepaid a month in advance and I haven't done it yet, that would be a current liability on my part because I still owe them that service. So again, current assets over current liabilities is the current ratio. So you may have to go through this list and find out what's on that list and then do the math. Remember, the quick ratio, you do the current assets, but you subtract inventory. Okay, I hope that helps a little bit. That's qualitative versus quantitative and current ratio. That's all stuff that could be on the 65. I'm getting a lot of feedback that they are.